Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome on this stormy day. I hope everyone is staying dry and staying safe. And of course, we are recording this presentation just in case for those folks who may be occupied with preparing for Hurricane Idalia. I'm Ben Bullock. I'm the Vice President and COO of Together SC, and it's my pleasure to welcome you today to this information session on a exciting partnership that Together SC has with our friends at the New York Council of Nonprofits and BoardStrong to make BoardStrong a board matching platform available to our nonprofit members and prospective board members here in South Carolina. This is a benefit that our members have been asking for quite some time. I from time to time have people call and say, "How do I find new board members? How do I get people on our board of directors?" I can't just ask my friends and family. And that's true. You shouldn't be asking just your friends and family to be on boards, especially as an organization gets into more advanced stages. And so we are pleased to partner with Nikon and BoardStrong to bring this platform to South Carolina. I'd like to introduce Barbara Paxton. She's with BoardStrong and with her colleagues manages that platform. And I'll turn this over to her in order to tell us more about this product. Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ben. I really appreciate it. We're very excited to launch this partnership with you all today. Our first outside of the state of New York, so we are hoping for great things. Should mention we're also joined by BoardStrong CEO Megan Allen and our community outreach associate Malik Diamande, so they can jump in and help me if someone asks a question that I don't know the answer to. Let's just start here with what our agenda is. We're going to go through a little bit about who we are. Then I'm going to do basic nuts and bolts training on how to use our board matching platform. We're going to give you some tips to remind you of some basics around recruiting new candidates and some tips for creating your profile. I mean, it says questions there at the end, but I really hope that you will put questions in the chat as we go on if you think I've missed something or something is unclear, so that we can have a little bit of a back and forth here. Let's get started. So BoardStrong is an organization that works to help nonprofit boards achieve the highest standards of leadership, governance, and oversight. Essentially, we believe that good, strong boards make good, strong organizations, which makes the services that we offer to our constituents better. And really good boards translates into good work. So we do board recruitment, consulting, etc. We are primarily New York based, but this platform is a national platform. This is our board recruitment platform. It connects organizations to candidates who you can talk to and recruit from. Let's get started. I actually spoke with someone on Monday who this year has already recruited 5 new board members using this platform. So in the targeted areas, she was looking for human resources and marketing and a lawyer, and she found all of those people. So I'm really hopeful that you all will use the platform. We'll give you some good advice here. And because now we do know that it works. So here's where you start. You will log on to www.boardstrong.org. That is our home site. You'll see there's things like testimonials and resources. But what you want to do is you want to go down there to the bottom left-hand corner and register as a nonprofit organization. So this is pretty instructional, this section, but I want to make sure that you all get it. This section, the platform is built on Salesforce. So those of you who are familiar with Salesforce will recognize it. And those of you who are not, trust me, it's not that hard to get adjusted. So what do you do? Well, where will that button take you? To this screen here. Obviously, you need to create a username using 10 characters, capital numbers, etc., and a password. And then down there at the bottom, you want to sign up as an organization. That will take you to this page. That shows you your, hopefully you can see the bar up at the top, organization profile, our postings, etc. You want to start by creating an organization profile. Here's an example. This is mine, ours. And we ask you all sorts of questions about your organization that will be interesting to candidates who are looking for board positions. These are questions. I should sort of talk and remind you that it's really important to be transparent and as detailed as possible so that your candidates will know what they're getting into, and will also be able to make sure that you yourself have thought through what the answers to. For example, do you have a fundraising policy for your board, right? How do you consider your developmental stage? And that's a pick list. So mature, crisis, steady as she goes, etc. You'll see down there at the bottom that there are questions about diversity. As we all know, nonprofits are under scrutiny for the diversity of our boards and whether they represent our communities. And so we've asked you if your organization has a diversity statement and if your board or your organization has gone through diversity training. That's really, we put that in at the request of some of our more diverse candidates who want to know whether the organizations they are thinking of joining have thought through these issues as they seek to diversify their boards. After you have filled out your profile, then in order to search, you need to fill out a board positions posting. Here's where it starts. You'll see that there's a fee noted there as an organization in South Carolina, thanks to our partnership with Together SC. At the moment, as we're piloting it, these postings are free. We'll see how it goes as we go along. But basically, again, you're going to fill out things that we think will be of interest to candidates. So what is your opportunity information? That is, what is the board position and what is the description of your organization? Really encourage you at this point to be creative, transparent, but also upbeat and enthusiastic, right? If your mission is a little dry or your board position is a little dry, mix it up a little bit. Make sure that you answer the question for people, why should they want to join our board, right? Is it the impact of our organization? Is it also the connectiveness of our board members? You know, what about your board stands out from other organizations? Here's the rest of the posting. You'll see, again, this is ours. We have filled out the opportunity information, pretty colorful there, as well as our mission. And then again, some of the questions around transparency. How often do you meet? When do you meet? What time of day do you meet? Do you meet in person? Do you meet by Zoom? All of these things will help pre-screen candidates for you. So if you meet at 4 o'clock on a Thursday and your candidates can't meet then, that's a little bit of a pre-screening. Another thing that's important is over there at the right, and that is the interest of your organization. That is, what is the sector that you serve? There's a couple of reasons why this is important. First off, you want your candidates to know who you are and what you do. But also, as you go through, there are 3 ways you will be matched with candidates, or you can be matched with candidates. One is you will search for candidates, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Another, candidates can search for your organization, again, using some of these criteria. And then thirdly, there's an algorithm that matches candidates to organizations based on their interests and their geographic location. So I don't recommend that you rely entirely on the algorithm, but it is useful. And so it's important that you fill out that section on what do you actually do. Then looking over there, we're going to ask you, what skills are you looking for? Again, that's important for candidates. Are you looking for accounting skills, banking and finance, etc.? These are all multi-choice, so you can choose as many as you want. That will help you when you search for candidates, and it will also help you when you look at their profiles to determine whether or not they might be someone who would be a good candidate for your board. All right, so after you've filled out your organization profile, you've posted, right, you can look at your board matches. These are board matches. So this is your matching page. What you'll see is the match ID is down there in the right. That's you click through on that, and we'll do that in a second. Right, what date did they reach out to you? This is entirely sources of candidates, right? You can also add people if you're interested, or if the algorithm, and then it'll tells you where you are in the process, what response you have. So once you click through on one of those match IDs, right, you will get this page. This page basically is tells you what the status of your match is, right? Whether they're interested, whether you're interested. It also tells you where this person is located. You can see down there, Niagara Falls. The information on the candidate's name and their email, for example, phone numbers, is anonymous at this time. It's hidden. Once you reach out to a candidate and say, hey, I'm interested in your being on our board, if they reach back to you and say, yeah, I'm really interested in talking, then this will change, and you'll be able to see their email, their phone number, their LinkedIn profile, etc. So it won't be anonymous anymore, and you can take this offline and have a real conversation. But at this point, what you want to do, if you see that arrow there over on the left, is click on the profile ID number. And that will take you to, this is the candidate's profile. So you'll be able to see this person actually called their name, field, and fork network. So you kind of get the idea that that's where this person works. They don't necessarily have to call it that. They're in Niagara Falls. They're a project director. They'll fill out their highest level of education. For example, they fill out what they're interested in. You can see all sorts of questions about age, language, whether they're a veteran or not, what their availability is to meet. And then you can delve more. Once you click through, you can delve more into their experience. So this, for example, is that candidate's experience page. You can see, look there in the middle, it's called record type, employment, education, volunteer. So this person works at Field and Fork Network. They are educated. They went to college at Niagara University. They've done some volunteer work for Niagara Falls Heritage, etc. So it just gives you a more full picture of who the candidate is as you are thinking about whether or not that person is a good candidate for your board membership. Then if you look up there to the top right-hand corner, you can see that blue arrow there. You can click that button that says if you are interested in talking to this person, you can click that button and get the conversation started. As you can imagine, this process is not different than any other kind of nominating process. Being interested does not commit you to recruit that person to your board. If they're interested in you, they are not committed to joining your board. It just gets your process started and the conversation started. It is not meant to supplant your normal nominating process. But I do hope that as you begin to use this platform, sit back and think, what is our nominating process, right? If we're interested in someone and someone is interested in us, what are next steps? What is the timing? What we do know about candidates in this day and age is they want to make sure that our nominating process is buttoned down, right? Who do we talk to first? Do I talk to the nominating committee? Will they schedule a site visit? Do they want me to send my resume? Make sure that you know all of those things up front so you can make this process as smooth as possible. As I said, I mentioned at the top of the hour here, that I talked to a woman on Monday who had gotten 5 board members through BoardStrong. Their process is so buttoned down that they interviewed them and onboarded them within 2 months. So not everybody can do that. Some people have only vote annually, et cetera, but just make sure that you understand what your process is, that you have one, and that you're able to communicate it. Again, so we just looked at the experience in terms of college and volunteering and employment, and this is where they fill out what their interests are and their skills, right? And there's a whole range. We can see zoos and aquariums, business development, and then what are their skills, grant writing, whole gamut of those as well. So you can find if someone is interested in the area that you serve. I will say that I would encourage you not to be bound by some of this. If you see a really good candidate that has the skills or the experience and they're in your area and they look like they could be, you know, creditable contribution to your organization, even if they don't mention your particular mission as an area of interest, reach out to them anyway. Sure, you have a great organization, you have a wonderful cause, so you know, you can always surprise someone by saying and have them say, gee, I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, that does seem cool, and this seems like a cool organization. All right. I'm going to go through this searching, and then I'm going to ask if anybody has some questions before we go on to the next portion. So let's just start here. You can search for candidates. So candidates can search for you, and you can search for them. And here's the result of a search. You'll see that it's pretty basic. I put in that county field up there on the right, located in New York. And this is who I get. So again, it shows me what their profile number is. That's what you need to click through to take a better look at who they are. Also gives you their job title, language, and then some of the skills that they are bringing to the table. So just sort of an initial, you can take an initial scan of who they are. For example, look down there, there's a person who speaks Yiddish. If your organization is Jewish organization, that might send you a little flag that says, hey, yeah, let's talk to this person. Again, click on the profile over there on the left, and you will come through again to this screen. This one actually is revealed because this person is interested. You can see over there in the left, this person reached out to us. I thanked him for expressing an interest in joining our board. I said, I'd love to talk to you. He said he'd like to talk to me, and I sent him my email address. And this is Jabari Bell. He actually joined our board a couple of months ago. So we find our own board members using our platform. And you can see here, given that we've expressed mutual interest in each other, I was able to see his name, get his email address, check on his LinkedIn profile as well. So that's our platform. I'm going to talk a little bit about some tips around recruiting, but why don't I take a pause and see, does anybody have any questions on what I've shown you so far?
So we do have a question in the chat box I see here. Madeline asked, where on the organization's profile do you recommend sharing the nominating process in the timeline?
We don't have that on our profile at the moment. Maybe we should consider doing it, but I think that's for you to share up front. When someone says, I'm interested and you're interested, you can tell them what the process is and how long it might take them.
Thank you. And then the next question is how secure is the data, and what steps do y'all take to make sure that data that our members and candidates contribute is held confidential?
Right. Well, so that's one of the reasons that we built it on Salesforce, actually, is it is, you know, a very credible platform. They have lots of security features that keeps it, we hope, from being hacked. For our part, we have, when we get in to look at it, We have a limited number of individuals who can go into the platform. There's two-step authentication. So that also helps us make sure that nobody's going in and tinkering. Only someone who has, the authentication on their phone can really get into the platform, and has, of course, we all have passwords as well. And that now, in terms of, do we sell the data, etc., do we give it to anybody else? The answer is no. Under no circumstances. It is all proprietary to BoardStrong and our parent organization, the New York Council of Nonprofits. When you sign up, you will get we will send you information about free webinars that we do that are virtual. We do them pretty regularly. For example, this year so far, we've had a group of board chairs on a panel talking about their experience. We've had a group of treasurers talking about their experience. Of course, like anything else, you can unsubscribe to those emails, but we're not going to give your information to anyone else or really try and sell you anything. Our mission is to help boards and their board members, and so these offerings are all in line with our mission. That answer the question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Mhm.
Dorothea asks if you can select more than one area of interest for your organization.
Absolutely. You can, yep. You can absolutely select multiple interests.
Madeline also asks, can you include links to your organization's profile on your website? So like, and this was something I was wondering too, is sort of like it seems like you can't view board posts unless you log in. Is that right? So if
That's
I were to
right.
like
Yes. No, you have
copy the
to.
URL of my organization's profile or posting, it would
No,
take somebody to a login page essentially.
exactly. Exactly. You would have to create a profile.
Okay.
Yeah. You can't just jump in like that.
Uh, Courtney asks, is language a search option or will it be
Yes.
is okay, so Courtney,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
you can search by languages.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
I encourage you to sign up, check out the languages that we have. And again, and if the one that you are interested in is not there, please let us know. I think that's the other thing is, you will see an option to reach out to us at info@boardstrong.org. We are happy to get feedback about our platform. That whole diversity checkpoint was really from feedback from people. Another benefit to having built it on Salesforce instead of trying to build it ourselves is that it is pretty easy to make changes like that, to add language, to add fields, etc. So, and keep it up to date. So very much encourage you to get back to us. If you have any questions while you're using it, just send it, it'll prompt you to send an email to info, and Malik, who was on this call, will be the one who will answer your questions.
Wonderful, thank you. And then I see a question from Teresa and from Grace, both of them asking similarly if this is something that is available for members for free. And yes, that is true. We've made the arrangement with BoardStrong that this is available for our members to post their board opportunities for free. So as long as you are logging into the system and you're setting your organization profile to South Carolina, I think it's setting it to South Carolina and maybe selecting your home county in South Carolina, the system will automatically recognize that and allow you to post at no charge.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you, Ben. That is that is something I forgot to mention earlier, is that when you fill out your profile, you will see a question in the top right-hand corner, what county are you in? All of South Carolina's counties are in there. But in order to make sure that your posting is free, you do need to fill that out. That's part of the program. That's how we figure that out. And that's also how we keep track of organizations. I mean, we are, as we assess performance and signups, et cetera, we want to know what county you're in so we can see how it's all rolling out across the state.
Absolutely. And then Courtney Courtney's asking if what happens if you cover multiple counties. And I would think as far as your organization's profile, you should put the county where your office is located, your main
Yeah.
office is located. Um, but then, Barbara, what about in the board posting and talking about the area of service? How would you indicate that your organization covers multiple counties?
Yeah, there's a question about that in
Okay,
there. And also, you have the option of answering national as well,
that's true. That's
right?
true.
And yeah, exactly, exactly. And then the sort of commentary on where does your board meet? You can say we meet virtually or we meet in our different location around the state every time or that sort of thing. Um, absolutely,
And,
that's in there.
and I'll say something that we did when I was testing the system for Together SC, and I put a posting up for the Together SC board. Um, Instead of putting in the city as well, I had put the city in as Columbia, and it was pointed out to me, well, we're really all over, and Together SC is a virtual organization. So I just put statewide in the city field. I hope I didn't mess anything up, but
Sounds
that
good.
allows it to sort of see, potential candidates to see in the city field, oh, that this is actually a statewide organization. I think let's see. And then Dorothea asks, what kind of recruitment efforts have been done for the state of South Carolina specifically? And thank you for asking that, Dorothea. And we may get touch more on this a little bit later in the presentation. But at this stage, Together SC is focusing on marketing the platform to our members, to get you to get into this platform, post your board and committee opportunities in there. And then in the coming month, in September and October, we'll be doing recruitment and outreach to a wide variety of leadership programs, professional organizations, chambers, etc. All of these different places where you may go to find potential board members. We'll be doing outreach to them to encourage them to get their alumni or members or what have you to come into the platform as potential candidates. It's a little bit of a chicken and egg problem, and we reasoned that it is better for those candidates to come into the platform and see that there are posts there for them to look at. Um, and so that's the order we've decided to take it in. Oh, and there was another question, Barbara. Can multiple people can more than one person use the account? And related to that, um can any of the board members sign up and use it, or is it for just one person? So I'm thinking I'm you know well, yeah, if you would go ahead and answer that, because I have my own
Yeah,
thought.
no, I mean, you can share your login information. There's no limit on the number of people who can log in, but it is, I mean, when you think about it, if you have a posting, if a candidate wants to say, hey, I'm interested, you really want them to just have one contact person. So that one person, that one contact is what's in the record. Now, again, if you want to share your login information and have other board members go and play with it and search, there's no barrier to that at all. But really, there's only one contact email address that will, when you get an algorithm, when you get a match, it sends you an email, and there's only one email that you can use for that.
Yes, so it's not like different people could set up multiple accounts for the same organization and be able to see everything across that. That's just
No,
not how the system is built.
no.
I'll say what I did in my case is I have my Together SC email address, which I use to create the organization profile for Together SC, and then I have my personal address, which I use to create a candidate profile for myself. Um, so I've got both of those logins.
Right. And Yeah. Hopefully you checked the candidate, keeping your profile private unless you want people searching for you and asking for you to join boards. You
Ah,
can do that.
yeah, this is just for everybody's notice here. I am already on too many boards. Thank you. Let's see. With the questions are coming in, I know that we probably want to move on to the rest of the presentation. Do we want to do that, or should we take some more questions?
Um, I think let's go through this and we'll can take a few more questions. I saw a question on how to attract board members, which is not exactly about the platform. It's more about what we do as an organization, and that's what this is. This next part is. So
All right.
let's just carry on this, and then if people want to leave, they can. So, as I mentioned at the top, our mission is to help boards and to help them be successful. And one of the things that we see is that people recruit or try to recruit board members. I mentioned before needing to think through the nominating process. I think you also we also encourage people to think through, like, will their board members be happy? How do we retain those board members? Don't know anybody on this call, but too often organizations recruit a really good board member and then leave it right there. They expect them to show up to meetings, to figure out on their own what's going on. Sometimes they have board members who's been on forever, and those people don't necessarily make or proactive about helping new board members feel valued and included. And that's important under any circumstances, but it's really important when you're using this platform because you're recruiting people who don't know you, right? When you recruit people who are friends of friends who have been involved in the organization, then you can leave some of that. You can let them. You can trust that they love your organization and they're going to figure stuff out. If you're recruiting, someone that you don't know but who cares about what you do but doesn't get it up front, then we feel you need to be intentional about making sure that you're prepared for them to come on board and you're prepared to do things to retain them as board members. So when you're doing this, as you're going through this, remember, what do board members need to feel fulfilled and valued? First, you want to make sure that they feel a connection to your mission and your work, and put that in the platform as well. What do we do? Why is it meaningful? Board members like having connections to people that they otherwise wouldn't meet. So think about how you build connections among your board members, especially that's our challenge, especially now that many of our meetings are virtual, right? And then think about how you are ensuring that board members understand that their board service is important to the mission and that they have a connection. They feel the connection to your mission through their board service. That'll help you write a stronger profile and will also help you keep your board members once they've joined. You don't want, one and done, 1 year in and out. Sorry. Then as you're recruiting someone, make sure you have a concise call to action. Why does someone want to serve on your board, right? It's your mission. It's the interesting people that they'll meet. It's the competence and the expertise of your staff that's fascinating. It is the benefit that your client, all of these things, not just, well, we're a great organization and I know you want to give back, right? And then back to what I mentioned before, make sure that your entire board is committed to incorporating new members and that they give those members a path to impact and leadership. As we know, especially, younger members, younger professionals are expecting that they will get some skills out of this, some leadership skills, some, negotiation skills, et cetera, get to do things that they don't necessarily get to do in their day job. And so you want to make sure that there's a place for them to exercise their leadership skills, maybe committee chairs after a couple of years, and to make sure that they understand the impact that they have. So tips final tips, don't rely on the algorithm. I mentioned that. Don't rely on board candidates to find you, right? Think outside the box, reach out to people with skills and that you want, profile you want. They can always say no. Um, talked to someone last week, runs a veteran service organization. They got a new board member. That person did not mention veteran services as an interest, but they had all of the skills and experience that the organization wanted. And once presented with the opportunity, said, oh, yeah, I guess I am interested in veterans. And so is currently on their board. And again, answer the question, why would someone want to join your board? And why does what we do matter? So you'll get these slides afterwards. I think this is, at this point, since I've been talking to you for a while, kind of obvious. Make sure that this is the organization that I'm a chair of, right? Again, making sure that your profile isn't boring, right? This is, this organization provides critical services. Here, I beefed it up, right? We serve people who are impacted by opioid use. And so I framed it as, do you want to have an impact on one of the most critical issues facing our nation? Right? Try to bring people in. Again, why does what we do matter? And why should you want to join our board? My final tip is when you reach out to those board members, again, personalize it. You can push that button that says, I'm interested, and then push send. But again, you'll make yourself look much more interesting if you write that little note, right? Please look at our board posting. You're an attorney. We're really interested in, we really need an attorney on our board, or we really need someone who lives in, our area. Make it personal, make yourself stand out. Kind of like a dating site, if any of you have been on one of those. So that's my presentation. I'm happy we have time. Yes, we have time to answer more questions. Again, I hope you'll sign up. You can always, if you have challenges or questions after here, you'll get the slides. This is recorded, and you can always reach out and Malik will answer your questions as well. So Ben, do we have anything else? How are we doing here?
Yes, thank you so much. And we've got a question asking how might corporate community engagement professionals use the site to help place their colleagues?
Oh, interesting. Well, I would say that you can sign yourself up as a profile. If you're not really searching for board members yourself, you don't have to make your profile visible, right? And then you can search like anybody else based on what your colleagues are interested in or what they're looking for. I think that I had not really thought about that before. If you are a corporate person and you want to reach out to an organization, you would have to create an individual profile. And then, I don't know, the person asking that question, if a candidate receives an email saying, hi, I work for X organization, and I have a board member who might be interested in joining your organization. If I were that organization, I would respond. So I think you could do it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and I know part of our marketing strategy for this in terms of individuals is that we'll also be working with some of our corporate partners to promote this as a tool for them. And one of our programs that Together SC runs is a partnership between the Talented Tenth in Columbia and the United Way of the Midlands here in Columbia on a project called Bridging Columbia, which seeks to identify African American middle managers and corporate managers, and then they go through United Way's blueprint for leadership board training, and then we want to use the BoardStrong platform to help them find board opportunities.
Right.
So I'm really excited about that potential. Lily Coleman, down in the low country, Lily, I hope you're doing all right with the storm coming. asks if you have a board member who is leading the nominating committee, should they be the main contact, or is it better, or do you think, Barbara, in your experience, is it more common for the executive director to be the one handling the board posting and everything like that?
Um, I've seen it both ways. Very much encourage board members to get involved in this process, to get really bought into the, again, welcoming new members, people they don't know. On the other hand, I think that, our board members are volunteers, and, if you want to make sure that stuff is getting done on a timely basis, wouldn't hurt to have the executive director be the contact person and the conduit from the candidate to the board member, at least initially. Can I mention, because there was a question earlier and I didn't answer it because I said I would answer it here, which is, as an organization in a rural area, how do you find new board members? And I think this is a huge challenge for organizations in, sparsely populated regions. I think I would encourage a couple of things. First off, use every tool in your toolbox to find new members, right? And that includes putting a board posting on your website, putting it on Facebook. Again, once you get your head around the fact that you're going to recruit someone who you don't know, who's not a friend of a friend, because you're bringing in diversities of experience and, skills, etc., then you can recognize that you can say no to people, right? And so if someone responds to your Facebook posting and, they aren't a good fit at this time, right? There's not really a downside risk to that. I would encourage that. The other thing I would encourage is think about your whether you want to take your meetings hybrid or virtual. There are great benefits to meeting in person, as we know, as a team building exercise. But we have seen, since the introduction of Zoom, board attendance is higher than it's ever been. People are just like, they don't want to get in their car and drive half an hour. They'd rather do Zoom. And if you are doing that, if you are thinking about that, then you can have people who don't live in your community on your board, which there are probably individuals out there who grew up or visited relatives in your area and don't live there, but are quite interested in the community and the programs that are offered there. And so that will expand your pool as well.
Hey, Barbara,
Yes.
it's Madeline.
I know.
Can I take a stab at answering that question too?
Of course, you know more than I about South Carolina's rural communities.
Well, and we are very hopeful that BoardStrong is going to be a platform used by many of us, not just the nonprofits and the individuals interested in serving, but also by potential partners who can help us connect with those individuals, such as chambers and groups working with specific target interest groups, but in particular our philanthropic partners. And I'm thrilled that we have people on here from the Community Foundation of the Low Country and Community Eastern Carolina Community Foundation and Greater Good Greenville, because we think that those organizations can be key to getting the degree of local visibility for potential board members, so that our hope is that we'll, by the time we get at least 5 or 10 nonprofits in a community up on the platform with their board profiles posted, we can then go to those partners and say, hey, can you help us promote this to your contacts and colleagues in the community so that they will use the site to fill out the forms. That's why the corporate utilization of the platform is so key, because we've got many statewide or multi-regional or regional corporations that are very eager to place board members, particularly the financial institutions, and the opportunity to have a financial institution place a local branch manager on your board in a rural community is something we can do by working with that corporation at this higher level, at the statewide level. So, oh, and thank you. Central Carolina Community Foundation is on here too. So, and we're very eager for our corporate and philanthropic and regional partners to give us feedback on the site and what it would need for you to be willing to help us promote this and use it. So please think about that. Barbara, I just also wanted to answer publicly the question about time frame and rollout. As Ben said, our goal is that you will be putting your profiles up, and you're posting job positions that would be positions you hope to fill by late 23, early 24. And our thought is that if we get them up in September and October, then that gives us November, December, January to be promoting them to individuals who'd be willing to come on and start service in January. And our internal goal is to try and help 5 nonprofits get board members in January, and by July of next year, sort of the next phase in the fiscal year calendar is to have a good 25 be using it, because we're big believers that board members should, and their term of service should be coordinated, so they come in as a class and not one this month, one the next month, and that allows you to do better orientation and all the things that Barbara talked about. And it also allows you to tie their service to your fiscal year and that budget for which they're responsible. So as you're thinking ahead for the year, if you think you'll have be wanting to bring on some board members by January, please move quickly to fill out your profiles. Let us know that you're interested in making that happen so we can focus on your community and getting enough nonprofits from that community, so we'll have enough potential options for board members, candidates when we promote it. So, Barbara, thank you for letting me add that bit.
Oh, no, thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, well, next year at this time, when you're successful, we'll have to get together and write it up as a case study, as case studies. Because as we mentioned before, this is our first non-New York partnership. It's kind of a pilot project, but we are hoping to take it, to other states as well. We know from signups that this is the only platform like this. And so we really believe that it can be a benefit to the nonprofit community nationwide.
So Ben, I think you're going to finish answering the questions. And did you see Brooke has the poll ready when you're ready?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. In fact, I say let's go ahead and put the poll question up for folks, and we just got a little poll question for you. And while we do that, we'll continue answering questions. Naomi Edwards asks, is this only for larger organizations with 300K plus budgets?
No.
And I would say absolutely not.
No. When I showed you that slide before, the budget is what we call a pick list. So it'll ask you 0 to 300, 300 to whatever. But it's for every organization.
Absolutely. And Lily asks, can we use this for recruiting advisors, not just board members? And this is the neat thing I like about this platform, is that you can have multiple postings for your organization. So you may not be quite ready to post for your board, but or you may have a a pipeline where you want folks to join your committees before they can join the board. And so you can post committee positions, you can post advisory board positions, you can create all different kinds of posts for different kinds of roles like that. Now, I would say if you're looking for a place to post volunteer opportunities that aren't really related to governance or group decision making, there are other platforms for that, like Volunteer SC and such. But for advisory committee positions, this would be a good tool for that as well.
I did see a question about using it to recruit a board chair. And I'm not sure I would encourage you to do that. Barbara, I'd love to hear y'all's experience on it, but I think recruiting the board chair is sort of like recruiting a founder. You really want people to know you may not want them to know that you don't have anyone in that leadership role when you go to recruit other board members. I think I might say I'm recruiting board members. As you start talking to them, you might mention the need for a chair, but I don't know that I would say that on the post. Barbara, what I know that you have lots of different kinds of posts, and people do say we're looking for a treasurer, we're doing that. What's your sense on that?
You're welcome to try it. I don't think anybody would sign up to be board chair as their first position on your board, right? I think that, again, what Madeline said about like, why don't you have one of those, but also like, they don't even know who you are and you want them to, they're not going to take on all that work. So, I don't think that it would be particularly successful. I mean, I think if you are looking for a board chair and that person is not on your board, I would encourage you to see if you can find someone who was on another board or had, leadership experience with another nonprofit. Having someone drop in sort of cold, I think that it would be a pretty heavy lift for that person to help guide your board and organization.
The other thing, Barbara, we're trying is with some of our corporate partners, when we see a need for that kind of leadership, to go to the partners and say, have you got a mid-level manager who really needs a leadership opportunity?
Yeah.
We help place him in this role and give him the support for doing that job, so that that individual knows that his corporation is behind his engagement and his engagement to quite the amount of time it's going to take to do that work.
Yeah, exactly. Should we share the results of the poll?
Yeah, let's do that. We've got some great participation in here. I think it's like 35 folks have participated in the poll, and 75% of you said you're very likely to use this system. 25% of you said you're likely, and nobody said they're not likely. So that's good news.
Yeah.
So
exciting.
Thank you for answering that poll. Do we have any other questions coming up?
I would love to hear from folks, their thoughts on potential partners that we can promote this with too. For example, should we reach out to the South Carolina CPA Association and see if they might help us? If we need a lot of finance people, they might be a good partner. Should we talk to any other groups that you're working with that you think would be good partners in finding potential board members?
Yeah, Dorothea just posted marketing associations. And Lori just said the same thing.
Yeah, and Durham.
And Melissa asks, is it up and running? It is up and running now. It's been up for the last month or so, or available to our nonprofits here in South Carolina for the last month or so. So there is nothing preventing you to jump right in right this very moment and create your first board post.
But here's what, don't go looking for the volunteers yet. I think you'd start looking for volunteers in late October, November, December. Plan that as your recruitment. And as Barbara said, plan the steps you'll take between finding a post and bringing them on board in January, and make the time commitment for what that process. So, but what might be another thing is, once you get your post up, ask a current board member to go and log in and see if they find your post attractive. Because I think, as Barbara said, this is a lot like Match.com, and we know the words we use have a great impact on whether people find us attractive or not. So, get someone to proof what you're writing, and make sure it makes sense and it's compelling.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We are nearing the top of the hour. Thank you so much, Barbara and the BoardStrong team, for joining us today. Thank you all to our members for joining us and listening in on this, and for your contributions. Again, I hope everyone stays safe and stays dry on this rainy, stormy day. And we will see y'all later.